Hello there, so it's the Good Enough Mum. I'm back on my page talking this week about Father's Day and why we can find it a difficult time. And one of the reasons that we can find Father's Day difficult is if in fact it feels a bit like a sham to want to celebrate our father and perhaps saying thank you and doesn't really feel as though that's sort of honest. And so what can we do when, in actual fact, we don't get on with our father? And what should we do? And I think it's really important to remember that in everything we do have a choice. And sometimes it feels as though we don't have a choice, but we always have a choice. And often our choice is the way in which we choose to respond to a situation, even if we have no control over it. And you'll see that I've put on my page a blog from somebody who's talking about tips for Father's Day if you don't get on with your dad. And it's quite interesting because she starts it off, she says, you're not going to like this because in actual fact it's about you and it's about taking responsibility for your own self and not necessarily being victimised really by your father. And so she's got sort of various tips and things to think about. But I think the sort of important thing is to make a decision about what you want to do and to think about how you want to respond to whatever is going on in your relationship and how you want to be in the relationship. And sometimes, we can't depend on the other person to respond in the way that we need them to respond. And that can be really, really hard. And I think especially with fathers because, as children, we need our dads. And if that relationship hasn't happened, there can often be quite a deep hurt there. And it's from that deep hurt that we find ourselves responding. And so I think it's important. There's several things I think. We need to honour the fact that we're hurt. We need to respect that. There's no point trying to brush it under the carpet. It is actually a real hurt that we're suffering. And we need to be kind to ourselves in that. But also, we need to sort of, in a sense, realise that we can't make the other person change. They are who they are. And even though it might be very hurtful for us, we can't actually change them and change their response to us. We have to allow them to be them. And it's in this area that we can actually begin to choose our response, because rather than trying to get them to be different, we can just accept who they are, whether or not they're really helpful to us, whether or not they've really hurt us. That is who they are. And in a certain extent, we can let go of the need for them to be different. And that brings an enormous amount of freedom because we can allow them to be them and we can choose the way we want to be. Now, we may want to choose to be a son or a daughter in a particular way, and we might have the standards that we think that sons and daughters would want to live up to, and that might mean that we make contact with them or that we send them a card or buy them a present. And that might be we're not doing it in order to make them care for us or like us, but because we care for them and we want to make it clear that that's the case. Or it may be that we think, well, I'm going to let go of my need for them, and in letting go of that, that means letting go of the need to please them. And so that might mean that we don't do any of those things. But I think it's really important to recognise that there is a hurt there, and that hurt, sometimes there's nothing we can do about it. We can't make the hurt go away. It's just something that we have to live with. And in that, we need to be kind to ourselves in living with that hurt. And we need to recognise that this is a difficult day for us. It's not our fault, but that, in a sense, it's not our fault, but we have a responsibility to ourselves in how we choose to respond to it. And that might mean being really kind to ourselves. Turning off social media if it upsets us, if we see everybody else enjoying Father's Day. Maybe making a decision that we can't celebrate our own father, but we can celebrate the other fathers in our lives. Perhaps if we have a partner who's a good father, making it about him, or recognising friends who are good fathers. And in that way, still making it about a celebration, but not necessarily feeling sad about the extent to which our own father can't be the father that we need him to be. And I think, again, just to emphasise about being kind because we're hurting and taking care of ourselves. So I hope that sort of helps a little bit. And if you'd like to have a look at the blog that I've published today, it is on my business page, The Good Enough Mum. And my own blog is at thegoodenoughmum.com/blog, and that's about grieving and Father's Day. So if you've enjoyed watching this, then please do like it and share it if you think that it'll help someone else. And I'll be back tomorrow talking about another aspect of Father's Day. Take care of yourselves and remember to be kind to yourself. Okay, bye.